The opposition leader won the coin toss. He's decided to speak second tonight. So, Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, David, and good to be with you again, Mr. Abbott. And to all of you from Western Sydney, it's good to be back here. This is a great part of Australia. 10% of Australians live out here. So what happens here is important, I know, for each and every one of you and your families, but it's also important for the nation. It's such a big slice of our country. Just before coming here tonight, I went next door and spoke to some of the kids at Loyola Senior Secondary College. It was terrific. Talking to some of the young people there, a young fella called James who's training to be a carpenter, and he's using a trades training centre that we've invested in as the Australian government. It's Butte Equipment, and he is passionate about his school-based apprenticeship, and there are about 160 other kids studying there as well. And James is using also an allowance that we have made for apprentices to draw on to buy his tools. It's a $5,000 allowance, so he's bought his first drills. The excitement in his face is terrific. And what we need for Australia's future is an army of young Jameses out there building the jobs and building the economy of the future. It was a great visit. I really enjoyed it. Of course, in this election campaign, you will all ask here in Western Sydney, why do I want to be re-elected as Prime Minister and why should you vote for me? The core question's this, and let me try to answer it in just one simple way. I see my job as Prime Minister of Australia as doing everything possible to protect your job for the future. It's as basic as that. When I first became Prime Minister, we had this huge challenge called the global financial crisis. It was massive. And I feared that our economy would be thrown into recession. I used to wake up each morning quite frightened by it all. Frightened that we'd end up with double-digit unemployment. Frightened that we'd end up with small businesses collapsing all over the place because we saw it all happening around the country. And frightened that we'd see banks fold and people lose their savings deposits. Well, we acted, we intervened, we did the right thing to make sure that we could buttress our economy at a difficult time. And the nation came together. Well, after that, as you probably know, I spent a bit of time on the back bench. And you learn a few things when that happens. And one of the things I learnt was actually the critical role of government when crises really hit, and to get those calls right, the big calls. And for the future, I'd just say this. I believe we still are in uncertain times. We've got to build for the future, build the industries and jobs of the future, while still looking out for cost of living pressures facing families everywhere. Finally this, elections are about choices. Mr. Abbott wants to be Prime Minister as well. And what I don't understand is why his #1 priority is a paid parental leave scheme to provide $75,000 for millionaires, which everyone else pays for. I don't think it's right. #2, he's committed to huge cuts, $70 billion of them. They hit jobs and everything else in the economy.
That's time.
I welcome the debate. They're the choices, they're the alternatives.
Mr. Rudd, thank you. Tony Abbott, your opening remarks.
Well, thanks. Thanks very much, David, and thanks everyone for being here tonight. I think we're going to have a good discussion. I think that you deserve a better government in Canberra, and that's what this election is all about. It's giving you the best possible government in Canberra. And I want people to know exactly what will happen if the government changes on September the 7th. We'll build a stronger economy so that everyone can get ahead. We'll scrap the carbon tax, we'll end the waste, we'll stop the boats, and we'll build the roads of the 21st century, because I would like to be known as an infrastructure Prime Minister. I have a plan for Western Sydney. My plan for Western Sydney starts with building the West Connects, because the people of Western Sydney deserve to be connected by a motorway standard road to the rest of our great city. It continues with scrapping the carbon tax, and that means every household will be $550 a year better off. It goes on with trying to tackle crime in our community by getting CCTV and better lighting into crime hotspots, stopping guns entering our country by better screening incoming cargoes. It continues with actually building a national broadband network, not just talking about it, but building it for $60 billion less than Labor, but having it here within 3 years, not on the never-never. I know Western Sydney. I've lived for 12 months in Emu Plains. I worked for 12 months as a concrete batching plant manager at Silverwater. I love Sydney. I respect and appreciate this part of Sydney. I think we are a great country and a great people. I just don't believe that we can afford another 3 years like the last 6 years. I agree with Mr. Rudd that we do need a better way, but to have a better way, we've got to choose, you've got to choose a new government.